Congratulations, Maria. We're here at the complete entrance of A River is Not a River. It's a story that started in Luxor, and I was wondering if you could tell us more about where it started and how it started.
Thank you, Farida, to be here. I'm really happy and so excited to be able to bring this exhibition to this singular and unique and beautiful place, that is Sinnari House. In October 2021, I was invited by the Spanish Embassy and Association for the Promotion of Cultural Tourism in Luxor. Well, they selected me to do a residency, the first residency in Luxor for this purpose. And in those weeks, I didn't want to document what was happening there. My idea, what happened at the end, is it helped me as a case study to talk about topics that are part of my research as an artist, which are related with contemporary ecologies.
So it was more than 200 years ago that Napoleon came and the Description d'Egypte started. But then now you had your own research and your own notes for a post-natural Description de l'Egypte. How did that become part of your research, and what means and what ideas did you have as you were going about it?
This work, that it's called Notes for a Post-Natural Description d'Egypte, it's like my book note that I had at the beginning all the time during my residency. It's like what I was thinking there, that it was in my mind. What is nature? What is nature for us? Are we nature? How is nature represented? How has been represented in the ancient Egypt, and how do we represent it now? And why are we now so separate of it? In ancient Egypt, the animals were represented as gods, so we have like these ancestral hybrids, and trees were sacred. And for me, that was the starting point. We do like a stop in the 19th century when Napoleon came with his expedition to conquer Egypt in a way through the power of knowledge, and how the power of knowledge leads to the dominion. In this case was the dominion of nature. So for me that's important, that time when we shifted from nature. And what is incredible is that the Description d'Egypte was produced in this building. This exhibition is like divided in three parts. In this part that we talk more about this displacement of anthropocentrism. And in this case I use this technique, which is a traditional technique from the 19th century also, when photography was inventing. And I like this technique because it's the one that has less impact in the environment when you do it, and also that you do it, it's very handcraft, and you create it with the natural resources. You need the sun, you need the water, but all in a very environmentally friendly way.
In this section of the exhibition, we see that you were challenging photography a little bit, not just through how you were displaying, but also because if we are traditionally seeing the Nile in a particular way, now we get to see it from a different perspective. Perhaps you're also inviting us to listen to the Nile rather than to just see the Nile. This
image, it's the introduction of this exhibition, because I'm escaping of the typical image of a landscape, the beautiful, perfect image that you find in a postcard. That photography helps me to go deeper and to take out layers in the landscape to discover that agency that we are talking about, the river. Suddenly the river becomes the god. The river becomes us. We become the river. We have to cross this image to get inside the room that we have created for the video, which is the hymn to happy. It's my own adaptation of an old hymn that you found in old papyrus, the most popular, and it was represented as an androgyne. It was not her or him, always in blue. You can find it inside. I've done it in a cyanotype. You enter inside, and there's this connection with the antique cosmovisions, but also is a meditation also to think ourselves of how we can behave or how we connect with the river in what are we doing now. The problems of droughts, contamination, the rivers are not just here in Egypt, everywhere. This piece, for example, that is in the room divider, what we have created here and produced locally with an artist, and I met in Luxor 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's been, thank you to Mari, that he localized this, and I did the design from Spain, and we have made it to do a support for this piece. In here, what I'm talking is this relationship between woman and nature.
Like ecofeminism.
Exactly, that's what ecofeminism is, and says that in this period where the power of knowledge was used to dominate nature and also women, it's like the basis for the ecological problems we have today. And here with this image, and close to the Hatshepsut that you have talked before, not that it's so symbolic, this photograph of Hatshepsut sculpture, because she's with the head is covered, as the history tried to erase her.
The choice of printing on fabric, and not just that, but the local production itself with the room dividers, and the placement of the divider in the space itself and how it's connecting to the patio but to the larger space. Maybe we can say a little bit more about that.
When I saw the pictures of this place, that there was this beautiful patio, immediately I said I want to print on fabrics, and also I wanted to produce locally. I didn't know if there was printed house for fabrics here. That has been a big challenge for the production, but they are in 100% cotton. Wow. And made in Egypt, of course.
So I want to go back to the Description d'Égypte that we mentioned at the beginning. There is another reference to it in the display case, and I wonder now if we can discuss the relevance of the Description d'Égypte in light of your attempt to displace the scientific discourse and bring us back to something different, something that also highlights the impact of anthropocentrism.
In this case, I think after the Description d'Égypte, they started to grow huge interest, what they call the Orientalism, an interest of the exotic, and started to have the demands for antiquities and objects belonging to those periods, like for example the mummy that we have, that even Napoleon, it is said that he brought a head of a mummy as a gift to his wife. When we think in extractivism, we think more in oil drilling and gold mining, but this has been, I related this case that I found in Luxor as extractivism, which is one of the also ecological problems we have today.
You bring in another person in this exhibition, and it's Hassan Fathi. Now you share with Hassan Fathi a relationship to Luxor. He is the father of sustainable architecture, and he had a project in Gurna about developing or returning to the old way of building. And also now we are in Sinnari House, which could have been one of his inspirations. Can you say a little bit more about your relationship to him in this project?
Well, Hassan Fathi, it's so present here and is connected with this story of the tomb robbers, that they were called the village that was spreading over the Valley of the Nobles, because they were trafficking with all the antiquities there. So there was a moment in the 20th century at the beginning that the government commissioned Hassan Fathi to do this village. He was against this modernist idea of bringing everything from outside. He promoted the colonization of architecture. All these use of old techniques adapted to the new technologies. I had the chance when I was in Luxor they just restored what is left of all his buildings, the mosque, the interior of the theater. So it was amazing to see how this iconic project of him.
I noticed that there is something interesting that you used to make this GIF video. You used the pinhole camera. And you're a photographer, but you made your own camera. And I was wondering what that gesture means for what you think this exhibition is actually about.
So I made this piece of work, which is now a gift, but it's done of frames from a film done with a pinhole camera that I made photographing the Valley of the Artisans. So there it's to talk about the impact of the climate change in the old buildings. That is part of the Egyptian cultural heritage, but the world's cultural heritage in general is threatened, but also how we depend on that, how that is going to affect in the future. There is a reivindication also to the traditional knowledge. What is made with handcraft. This exhibition is all made by hands. That's why in this exhibition, at the end, the idea that everything is connected, which is the principle of the ecology philosophy.